Alright everybody, welcome back to Nintendo Power Sunday. I'm going to try and run through as many of these as I can over the next couple of years, so anyone that never had a Nintendo Power gets a chance to preview and see what it would have been like back in the day. So here we are, September, October. This is when they were only putting out a few a year in the first year. This is probably maybe not as famous as the first cover, but the most infamous cover. Yeah, that's not Kathy Griffin there. No, that's from Simon's Quest. This cover with, look, you've got the head dangling there, you got some eyeballs, a heart, a hand reaching out. It isn't too scary when compared to the other stuff, but I think they got into a little bit of a trouble for this. But whatever, look at this. Is that just the texturing of the failed paper? I can't tell. It looks really cool though. I don't know if it's just supposed to be all black, but this aging, which obviously it is because it's down here too, looks really cool. My little helper today is going to be Rob. He's going to hold my pages for me. So there's nothing to do but just get going. Again, we got the standard welcome. This kid surfing on a stack of games. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Lots of good stuff in there. Adventures of Link already out, that's right. Or very soon to be out. This might be... I'm missing something here. I don't know what it is. It looks like some sort of... Maybe it was a survey or something. The standard welcome page. Telling you what to look out for. Let's see what the preview is going on right now. Bionic Commando, good. Life Force, pretty good. Simon's Quest, Still loved. I played it a lot, but never got through it when I was a kid. Super Mario Brothers 2, more of that. Renegade, okay, fighter. RC Pro-Am, yep. Counselor's Corner, Golgo. I've never played this. People really seem to like this, but I've never ever played it. I've seen videos, but that's it. Blaster Master, I have it. I played it a little. I can't get into it. It's probably just not the right timing for me, so I just gotta wait. Superman. I don't even know what Superman would look like on here. Is that real? Did that even come out? What am I forgetting something? It looks very Japan kind of graphics there. All right, so there we go. Let's keep it moving. All right, Bionic Commando. A little cat fur in there. That's what you might hear in the background. Some cat, noises. I got one drinking water right now. They're usually crunching on some food. Bionic Commando, super fun. I got it. I can't get through it very well. Maybe I should read this guide, learn some tricks. Yeah, teaching you all the mechanics. The first mission, more tactics. I guess I should pay attention to this. There are games on my list to get through and complete for the NES, and I don't know, I'll never get to all of them. That's the way it is. You're just never going to get to them all. Boy, this is a pretty long preview on this one, or in-depth, guide. They are just going for it. Hopefully this is all nice and clear, so you guys can pause if you want, read a little bit if you need. All right, and then Life Force, yeah. Yep. Pretty good. Pretty good. Big hit back in the day, I believe. I like shooters. I will play them plenty. Especially like new bullet hell shooters and stuff. They're so fun, but they're difficult. They are difficult. Big previews in this second episode here. Simon's Quest. This is one where having Nintendo Power helped immensely, because they kind of told you what you needed to do in here. Because there were some things, I don't even know how you were going to figure them out. I mean, we just did back then, because what would happen is people would just play for so long back in that time. Oh, there goes a cat munching away. Never fails. Could hear a pin drop in here, and as soon as I want to do something, any animal, they come out. they think something's happening. Maybe they just like company when they eat. But yeah, I'm sure as far as I got in the old days on this game was thanks to, in partial, this right here. And maybe... It was tough. I wasn't able to talk to a lot of people in school about this, you know. Like I said, I was 17 years old. And, you know, video games... Yeah, they were a little popular with some, but not like today. Like today, kids can go up to any kid and just start talking about video games. Back then, you talk about video games and people just like, what, you're playing video games? Like even kids, some kids, like, yeah, why? What's wrong with that? They're just weird. They were weird back then. They're like, wow, I'm not a kid. Yeah, you're a kid. All right, so what was the Simon's Quest here? Had a little guide. Or a map, should we say. I don't know how much benefit there is to this, but I'm sure plenty of people had them on their wall. What do we have for the poster this time? What do we have? Bionic Commando. Huh. I mean, good stuff coming out this year, though. Real good. I'm gonna have to hold that for a second because we're going into Super Mario Bros. 2 again. Have you made it through World 2, 3? Alright. Do your job, Rob. That's the hardest page to hold, is the one that's next to the map. Again, they're teaching you in this second one. If you didn't get the first one, they'll teach you how everyone's got their special moves. And I forgot that part about the moves, that when they hold stuff, you know, most of them actually don't jump as high as they could or run as fast. And again, that's why I think Toad was used for speed runs, because he and I'm sure that still holds true today. Toad's probably still, you know, may not be the highest jumper, maybe not the fastest, but when he's holding stuff, he is the fastest. Am I wrong? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I kind of, you know, lost track of what the modern movesets are on these guys. I know some new stuff's come out recently. I've turned off the Switch, you know. I just don't... It hasn't really been a big system for me. I don't know why. I mean, because mostly they were all the stuff... A lot of the stuff I wanted were remakes. And I already had the Wii U, so... Renegade. This is hard. This is a hard game. I mean, most of them were, to a certain degree. But this, you know, you get your ass... Get your ass whooped. RC Pro-Am. This was fantastically fun back in the day. I can't remember if we had... I think we had this. We didn't have Micro Machines. We had RC Pro-Am. That's what it was. Excuse me while I take a sip. I'll do that flip again here. I mean, I don't know. Ooh, look at that. We got a little tear in that one. Just dropped the value by $100 of this one. Let's see, we got just all the tracks showing you the layout. I mean, it could be helpful. I mean, you had to memorize the tracks. That's the whole goal of these games. They usually didn't have a mini track popped up so you could follow it to see what was coming up. Kid Nicky, Radical Ninja. Never had it on the NES. I beat that in the arcade. Aladdin's Castle. The guy running it at the time, I remember beating it 2 times. He saw me both times and he's just like, I've never seen anyone else beat this game in here. And there's this really hard part at the end where this giant guy comes after you, and I was the only one that seemed to be able to get through it. And that was probably in the arcades a couple years before. So I had no interest in buying it on there. I had enjoyed it, and I probably paid a lot less. You know, a game was probably $40 back then, and you know, I could if I could beat a game, sometimes it wouldn't cost more than, you know, $10 in quarters to get good enough to beat a game. So, but to have it at home, that's pretty cool. There's Renegade again, Kid Icarus, a game I just beat just a few years ago finally. Let's see, anything funny in Howard and Nestor? Usually not. Usually not. I don't know why it lasted so long. But, you know, they tie into things. I'm sure little kids liked it. I was no longer a little kid. I was just a child at heart. Or immature. I don't know how you want to put it. Counselor's Corner. Let's see. The first quest is Zelda. In order to discover the seventh, the whistle. You know what? I can't say 100% that this is not how I found this place back in the old days when I beat it, because that was pretty tricky. I mean, the clue they give you is pretty good. It's just so hard to remember what you were doing back then. I mean, we're talking, oh boy, over 30 years ago, you know, close to 35 years ago. So it's not exactly easy to remember what I was thinking or figuring out back then. But they do tell you that, you know, the secret to the entrance or something is where fairies don't live. So it was kind of obvious. So I'm not sure if we figured this out on our own or because of this guide. But we'd have had Zelda before this. Before Nintendo Power even came out. Yeah, lots of good tips. But, you know, this, if someone had been stuck on this for a few years and had not been able to beat it, and this magazine came out, that'd be fantastic to be able to have a little tip like that. Because, again, if you weren't in a circle with people playing video games, I didn't notice this before, but I think this was in the last one because I saw some dots. It looks like a little ring binder through here. What they want you to do, cut these out? But it's probably because it's Counselor's Corner, because didn't they have, we've seen recently that some of their guides have popped up recently in the past 10 years on YouTube. The Counselor's Guides, where they would flip through these big books if someone called in. But this was a way to not have to call the number and spend money online. You could get the magazine cheaper than a couple of minutes on the power line. But yeah, this is a game where every time I see it, I'm interested in playing it. Someone let me know if this is a must-play. You know, if I should play this before some other things. It just seems like such a good spy game. Can you use the light gun on this? On the center screen, you'll find the gun sight below. But does it use the actual light gun? Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like this one would use the light gun, but someone correct me if I'm wrong. Again, such a good-looking spy game. What's it based off of? Is this a anime from Japan in the early to mid-'80s? I mean, we didn't catch up to that till somewhere in the 90s. Probably as the internet grew and people started, you know, doing some translations and stuff. Now you can just you can hold your phone to something and just read through it. It takes a little extra time, but sometimes it's worth it. And then you've got YouTube now that does, you can put on closed captioning and turn on English to Japanese. And it's not perfect, but you're going to get 80-85% of what's going on. You know, I'll watch some Game Center stuff with the Reno on the Japanese channel. That they've had the 20th anniversary channel up for a little over a year now, and they're going to keep it going. And I only discovered that recently, but then I, you know, turned on the live translation from their closed captioning from English to Japanese, and I can pretty much tell what's going on. And then every once in a while stuff comes up on the screen and they don't translate what's on there, but you can have your phone nearby and just, you know, pop it on there and see what he's looking at. This was a surprise when they came out with a sequel to this so many years later, within the last 6 or 7 years, and it did pretty well. And it's still selling. You can still get it. See, this is, again, I was talking about this last time. This is not the one I have. I've got the other version that's super expensive, and it's garbage. It looks like it's a Game Boy Color game, but not even Game Boy Color. It looks like a Game Boy game that has the advanced color palette you can use. But the gameplay's horrible. It's really tough. I've done a video on this. I do a lot of golf videos. Xenophobe played in the arcade, but never had a version. Again, Superman. Does this exist? Someone let me know. I'm sure it's garbage. Has there ever been a good Superman video game? Probably not. I mean, what are you going to do? Fly around? They could make it cool. You know, like where he's got special fighting powers and stuff. Jackal's pretty fun. I don't like the 1940 series of shooters. They just don't do it for me. I don't know what it is about regular planes. I didn't like Time Pilot that much in the arcade. I'd play it because that's, you know, you could play it for 15 minutes on a quarter, so it was worth a quarter when you're trying to maximize the 2 hours you got left at the arcade. Another one I don't like, the Adventure Island series. So, not a big fan of these. They don't play well for me. And I don't even know what this is. Don't even know. And you can just tell some games are so... I don't know how to say it. They're so Japanese. You could just see that was part of their culture back then. It still is. The classics. Is Millipede really on the NES? I mean, I know Donkey Kong and Junior and Pac-Man and Joust. Defender. Did that come out over here too? Gee. You know, I look through my guide once in a while on games and I never notice some of these. But what is there, like 800 and something? I guess it's easy to lose track when you're looking at like all the systems that are out nowadays. Yeah, I know these two are on there. Alright, Pack Watch, looking into the future. Mr. Miyamoto, bad news. Shit down, that's right. Lying down anyway. I will not be able to begin my journey until the new year. It has something to do with computer chips. That's right, there was a computer chip shortage. That computer chip shortage that happens, it happens every once in a while. So that would make a lot more sense because I think it was closer to a Christmas release. What's funny is they showed on the very first page, you know, they showed the game box, but you know, this comes September, October. Usually magazines come out, and I don't know if it was like this back then, but like a September magazine would come out in late August. You'd always get it the month before, kind of like the way they do with video games, where Madden 2005 is actually put out in 2004. And that, I mean, that makes more sense because it's at the end of the year going into the Super Bowl year. But yeah, there was another delay. That makes a lot of sense. I got a Japanese cartridge for this, and it's pretty fun. It's available on the NES too, but this is actually a pretty fun game. WrestleMania, Track and Field. We played Anticipation, I think. If you guys want to check out a video on that. Star Trek, Nightmare on Elm Street. I've never played it. I'd like to get that because can't you play like 4 players? That would be fun. It's supposed to be not very good unless you're playing multiplayer with everybody. Bubble Bobble's always good. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I fell asleep at the movie theaters when that was out because I was working overnights. I went to see a movie and just totally crashed out in the theater. Here's the player's poll, if anybody wants to take it. I guess that's not what was in the front. I wonder what was in the front that was ripped out. It was probably the other side of this, but there was something on it in the other side too. So this is a kind of a short second edition here. You can see my pages they've totally lost the connection here in the back, I'm discovering, so we'll try and get through this without it disintegrating into a million pieces. Look at that, the Rare Brothers. Yeah. What a shame. What an absolute shame. Nintendo was probably able to buy them at the same time around Microsoft did, but then again, maybe they decided to go with Microsoft because they knew Nintendo would be way too controlling. But there was a time when they were on the shopping block there. Not the chopping block, but the shopping block, I guess. And Nintendo, there was a lot of buzz about it, and Nintendo, either they passed or they just were outbid. But Microsoft got them, and then, you know, now they're finally starting to show up on Nintendo again, Rare stuff, which is leading to people thinking that Microsoft may be getting out of the hardware game. But it's a long history. I think people have done like full-blown documentaries on Rare, and no surprise, just the history of what they did. But looking at the early days, some really unique stuff that probably doesn't hold up always very well, but nonetheless was pretty advanced. Didn't they show this last time? Same thing. Dirty Teens. Am I missing something? Isn't this the same two things they showed in the first one? But whatever. Guess they were getting paid to promote these things. Eric Dickerson. Some old pros now that were big in the day. Here's the mail. Anything interesting in the mail today? Like I mentioned, I wouldn't read this in the past, but now I do because it's very interesting. Let's go to a few months ago. My mother said how sometimes her life was monotonous. I told her, why not? Oh, why don't you play some games on the Nintendo Entertainment System? Did you say it just like that? On the Nintendo Entertainment System? And she probably said, sit down for us. I got a nerd for a son. She said, what difference would that make? The next day she tried, and ever since, she's been beaming aliens, turtle bopping, punching wrestlers, knocking out boxers, designing courses and tracks, racing cars, saving royal maidens, and defeating monsters, etc. And thank you. What are you thanking for? They didn't do anything. And then, next thing you know, your mother's not feeding you. She's not going to work. She's strung out. Way to go. You just created an addiction, boy. Blame yourself. A lot of high scores again, very different ones. Super Pitfall, Top Gun. Who's trying to get a high score in Top Gun? Oof. Wow, okay, this is crazy. Like Hogan's Alley. Been able to get that high. I wonder if that's the highest you can get, or if you can sneak in. It depends on how you've played the rounds. Because obviously it just goes and rolls over or something. This is the same advice you do for trying to capture your videos off of a TV these days. Now you can at least, you know, do it over and over. Back then you took a photo. If you didn't have a Polaroid, you're taking a photo and you're just hoping it came out good. Spotlight players. Again, usually kids talking about, you know, how great they are, or their parents sending something in talking about how great their kid is, how they're gonna rule the world someday. Oh yeah, look at this. I've lost my bindings here, so let's keep this in careful shape here. Again, look at this. Look at this list in the early days. All right, let's look at the games you want to have. Yes, Zelda. Yes. Yes, Metroid. Yes, Contra. Yes, Castlevania. Goonies 2, no thanks. I don't like it. I have it. I can't get it to be enjoyable ever. I don't like it. I like the first Goonies. Mega Man, yes. Pro Wrestling, yes. Double Dribble, I have that. I like it. Used to play that in the arcades. It's still fun, but not as fun on the NES. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. I'd be fine if it never was made. I know some people love it, but Top Gun, no. Rambo, no. I've heard that Rambo is kind of like Zelda 2 in a weird way. Renegade, Wizards and Warriors, yeah. You just gotta have that for the experience. Car Warriors, yes. Baseball, I guess if you need a sports game, sure. Rygar, there are some people that love Rygar. Not me. I don't hate it, but, you know, I've never tried to beat the game. Excitebike, absolutely. Kung Fu, yeah. Kid Nicky, meh. Super Mario Bros. 2, definitely. Xanax, I don't know what that is. I think it's a drug these days. And pinball, yeah, I do love the pinball game on there. I know it's really basic, but if you get up to the higher levels, you know, things will disappear like your flippers and stuff. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's look at the dealer's picks again. They're always so cutting edge at the time. See, they just wanted stuff that was going to sell. Just in the old days, same thing. Sports games would sell like crazy. Editor's note, you'll start seeing Zelda 2 in stores in December. Oh yeah, it was Christmassy. Kind of remembering things right. All right, let's see. Of course, these are really, you know, the players' picks are and the pros' picks are usually pretty close. But it gets a little weird sometimes when you get into the dealer's picks. So what's coming up next? Track and Field 2. Oh boy. You know, I've got Track and Field 1 and 2, and 2 tried to make it so much better. It just, I didn't like it. Blaster Master again, and the Giant Holiday Giveaway. I don't know if I remember anything about that. Oh yeah, see, look, here's another one just tearing out of there. Give this card to a friend, if you have any. I wonder what would happen if you sent this into them now. Would they even respond to you? Would they even respond? Is that right into there? It is. No postage. Oh, that's nice. They paid for postage back then. A bunch of friggin' awesome guys. I don't know what's going on with this, but it's kind of cool for no good reason. And here we go. Power tools. That's what you want in your toolbox. An advantage, a max. More power. Oh, I'll have to block out Joseph's name here. I shouldn't say Joseph's name. I'll have to block it out. That's okay. There we go. Power tools. And that's it. Nowadays, they put your name right on the front. Or they did towards the end. So, either way. Either way, Joseph in Brooklyn, thank you for selling this to someone that sold it to me. There we go. There's the second edition of Nintendo Power. And we'll be back in a week to see what happens in November, December. Should be pretty exciting. It was a good time. We'll see you next time. So long.